by Louay Safi, chair of the Syrian American Council in Washington, D.C. Sir, thank you very much for joining us here on Al Jazeera. First of all, your reaction to this idea of a transitional government with members both of the opposition and sitting politicians now. Do you think that that could possibly work, considering the obvious hostility between the two groups?
Well, any plan that does not remove Bashar al-Assad is going to prolong the bloodshed and will not lead to democracy, and therefore it will not be acceptable, for the Syrian people. No democracy will be had in Syria unless Bashar al-Assad and his cronies are out.
Well, you mentioned the removal of Bashar al-Assad. That obviously is one of the main stumbling blocks when it comes to the Western powers, and then China and Russia. The text had to be watered down for this statement, but Hillary Clinton said very explicitly that Bashar al-Assad couldn't be part of anything. I mean, ultimately, how does one overcome this obvious block between these powers?
Well, it requires more action on the part of the major democracies. What we see in Syria is the anecdote or the antithesis of democracy and the march to democracy.
If I could just interrupt you, I mean, you mentioned more action from the powers. I mean, Hillary Clinton was very strong in her words, but what do you think they could or should be doing right now?
Well, I think, when you look at the disparity between Western democracies and Russia, which is really not even have democracy today, there is a lot that the West can do, a lot of pressure, a lot of even courage that can be offered. We don't feel that enough is being done. There is more talk than actions. And so I think there are a lot to be done, including the possibility of working outside of the UN framework.
I'm sorry, if I could just push you on this, what kind of action do you think that the U.S., for example, the country where you're in right now, should pursue when it comes to Syria that it's not already doing?
Well, I think we expect the world to be outraged by what's happening in Syria. Yesterday, a whole suburb of Damascus, about 200,000, populated with 200,000, have been flattened. Only 5,000 remained in town. This is unacceptable in this time of age. The whole world must be up in arms, insisting that Russian move away from their current support of the regime. An embargo must be put on the country so that the Russian arms would not reach the regime that is using those arms to kill civilians. So I think we feel that talks is more than actions. There's a lot that can be done, including economic pressure on Russia, if need be.
All right, Louay Safi, chair of the Syrian American Council in Washington, D.C., thank you very much for joining.